Hi guys, welcome back to the Studentship YouTube channel. If you are new here, make sure you click on the subscribe button. In this video, I'm going to share with you guys my bitter experience, writing Post UTME exam for 4 times. Well, it was because of ignorance, lack of information. The truth was that I wrote my first Post UTME in 2012. That was to Delta State University. I wrote my second Post UTME to same university, that is Delta State University, popularly known as DELSU. Then in my third Post UTME, I applied to Rivers State University. Then in my last Post UTME, which is the fourth time, I applied to University of Nigeria. That was in 2018. So between 2012 and 2018, I applied for Post UTME exam 4 times. I actually wrote JAM 5 times, but in 2016, I applied to University of Ibadan, but Post UTME exams were not conducted for universities that year. But then I actually look back and I realized I made some certain mistakes. Unfortunately, I still see students make this same mistake over and over again, and that's the reason why I'm making these videos. This Post UTME exam you are sitting up preparing for will be the last Post UTME exam that will give you admission into the university of your choice. Now I'm going to be sharing my mistakes and the necessary lessons you must learn to make the correct adjustment so that you also can gain admission this year. Now, when I sat for my first JAM examination in 2012, I got 182 thereabouts. I got 182 in my JAM. But would you believe that I applied for medicine and surgery? I initially applied to University of Benin for medicine and surgery. So after I saw my score of 182, then I was advised by the cyber cafe man to change my institution to Delta State University, because back then you can do your change of institution at the cyber cafe. You don't need to go to JAM CBT Center back then. Unlike now, you have to go to the JAM CBT Center. Now you can imagine I was advised to apply to DELSU with 182 for medicine. Back then, you just needed about maybe around 250 to gain admission. Now, the cyber cafe man, I'm not blaming the cyber cafe man, but then the advice I needed at that time was to apply to a less competitive course that my JAM scores could not get admission for. But then I was still encouraged to apply for Post UTME. This is also the mistakes a lot of students make. This is not a thing of emotion. This is not a thing of choice. It's not about the course you want to study. It is actually your JAM score that determines the course you can get admission for. So I want to study law. Well, that is good and fine. Law is a prestigious course. And by the time you get your JAM score and it is less than 200, that already tells you that, man, it's not possible to gain admission for law. It doesn't mean you're not going to become a lawyer, but the bitter truth is that you can't gain admission to most of the universities with less than 200 in your JAM. If you're applying to a federal university for these highly competitive courses, you need a very high JAM score. Now, let me give you examples. You want to study medicine and surgery, you want to study pharmacy, you want to study law at University of Nigeria, Obafemi Awolowo, University of Lagos, Abu Zaria. In those schools, because of the, prestige, they are federal universities, a lot of students apply to them. It means that you need to get above 300 in order to stand a chance. Not that getting 300 will give you your admission automatically. No, in order for you to stand a chance to gain admission, because as you know, admission is based on cutoff mark. So it is the students with the highest cutoff mark that would be given admission. So it's not a situation of this school they are unfair. I've seen situations where students apply to study medicine and surgery at the University of Nigeria with 310, 315, and they end up not getting the admission. Why? Because students with higher scores applied to the same school for the same course and they got the admission. Now, this set of students would have gotten that medicine and surgery if they had applied to maybe a state university or another less competitive federal university. So that is just how it works. So I want you to not make this particular mistake of I want to still apply for medicine and surgery with 250. Where 250, except it's maybe a newly established state university. But for these schools like Uniport, this video is not just about medicine and surgery, no, it's about all the courses generally. So if you are applying to any other university, it's actually your JAM score that will determine whether you will apply to a state or a federal university. Now, another mistake students make is that everybody is applying to a federal university. See, let me tell you, most of the time it's better you apply to a state university, get your admission, you graduate on time, because most of the state universities are well funded than federal universities. I want you to keep this mentality that, oh, if it's not a federal university, I'm not going to apply for admission. It's good to apply for a federal university if you have the JAMB score for that course. Now that is to remind me, at this point in this video, I want to let you know that if you are confused, you are really confused at this point in time of your JAMB score, and you don't really know your chances of getting admission, you can let me know in the comments and I will definitely get back to you, because I do not want you to make the mistake. Now the next year, which was 2013, I still applied for medicine and surgery. This time around, I think I applied to Uniport, University of Port Harcourt. When I got my JAMB score, it was 190. Although I've already explained in my other video why I was getting this low JAMB score. So I applied, I saw 190 in my JAMB. That was like just a little bit of difference, about 8 score difference from my previous year. I was like, okay. Medicine and surgery also. At the end of the day, I still did a change of course to Delta State University for the same medicine and surgery. That is mistake number 2. I repeated the same mistake. Now, some of you will say, well, the school says that if you have 118 and above, you can apply for history, you can apply for mass communication. That doesn't mean that if you get that general Post UTME cutoff mark, because there's what we call general Post UTME cutoff mark. After the JAMB exam, every school will say, okay, if you have 140 and above, if you have 150 and above, if you have 118 and above, you can apply for our Post UTME. Now, getting above that score does not mean that you're going to gain admission, because those universities, these schools you see, they only care about the money they are going to make. So all they are concerned is they just want to make money from themselves. If it's possible, most of the universities will say, if you have 100 and above, you can apply to our Post UTME. And you apply, not knowing that they are just after your money. Now, another mistake I made was, I was thinking, okay, I have 190 in my JAMB, medicine and surgery. I'm going to make up for it in my Post UTME. A lot of students will say, okay, my JAMB score is low, and I think in my Post UTME I can get over 100 over 100. The truth of the matter is, it doesn't work like that. Do you think the students who got 310, 320, 330, 290 in their JAMB, they are also going to fail their Post UTME? So you that got 220 in your JAMB, if you should prepare and write Post UTME, let's say you put in your best, you are probably going to get like 250. Let's assume the Post UTME exam is graded over 400 like JAMB. You're probably going to get about 250. You will not magically get 300 in your exam. And even if you get 300 in your JAMB, you are still at a very big disadvantage because of your low JAMB score. Like I earlier said, those students with high JAMB score would also prepare adequately and they will study very hard to also complement their JAMB score. So JAMB score and Post UTME score usually go hand in hand. That is why I advise, if your JAMB score is low, make sure you make the necessary adjustment right now so that you can stand a chance for admission. Do not deceive yourself that I got 190 and I'm applying to study English and literary study at the University of Ilorin, so that means I have a chance. No, you stand a chance, of course, in a state university, but for a school like University of Ilorin, University of Ilorin is the most competitive university in Nigeria, so you already have a very low chance for admission. But if you apply to a state university, you can get that linguistic, you can get that same course. Studying medicine in state university and studying medicine in federal university is the same thing. The only downside with state university is that the school fees are usually expensive. They could range from 100 to maybe 150,000. In fact, some state universities, they pay 200,000 for school fees. That is just the only downside. If not for that, I will always advise you apply to a state university. Now, moving on, in 2016, okay, I applied to University of Ibadan, but then Post UTME was not conducted for that year. They used O level, and I had a lot of C4 in my O level, in my WAEC result, so I couldn't start any chance for admission. Now, some schools like Unizik are also using that system till now, where they grade students using their O level and JAMB result. So if you're applying to these schools, make sure that you ensure that your O-level result will give you a very big advantage. Now, if you're not sure of the Post UTME format for your school, because some schools they write Post UTME exams, while some schools only conduct online screening. If you're not sure of the Post UTME format, you can let me know in the comments, section of this video, and I will get back to you on the format for the Post UTME. So because of that disadvantage in my O-level result, I didn't gain admission in 2016. Now, moving forward to 2017, I applied to Rivers State University. I think that year I got 240 thereabout. I applied for medical laboratory sciences. My JAMB score was very okay, but then the problem was with my Post UTME. I didn't do very well in my Post UTME. I think I was just very short of the cutoff mark. So after your JAMB, the advice here is, after your JAMB exam, do not relent, do not relax. Now is the time for you to, put in the work. You need to know the format, like, is it aptitude test? Is it that you are going to write the same subject you took in your JAMB, in your Post UTME? Like, you have to know those information at your fingertips. Then you start preparing. I know it can be very tiring after the whole JAMB stress. You are trying to prepare for your Post UTME. In fact, the worst part of it is that you don't even know when is the Post UTME. You don't know whether it is 2 months time, it is 3 months time. When you know that, okay, my Post UTME is in the next 5 months, in the next 4 months, in the next 3 months. There's a way you can prepare for that. But because you don't really know the date for the Post UTME, most students will just relax until when they say Post UTME form is out, Post UTME exam is holding so and so day. That's when students will start running scatter, to be able to prepare for their Post UTME. Do not make that same mistake. Advise that you start preparing for your Post UTME exam, at this moment. Try to get the past questions for that school. Now, a lot of students will be like, can I get the past questions online? The truth of the matter is that, except for some schools, most of the time the past questions are not available online. In fact, some of the past questions you might see online are maybe people will just compile some, JAMB, some JAMB past question or some aptitude test past question and, sell to you. But if you can come across past questions for your school, like for example, I have past questions for University of Nigeria, like soft copies that I can always share to students. But for most schools, I do not have this past question. So I always advise, try to get the booklet. If you are living far away from the institution of your choice, maybe let's say you are living in Lagos and you've applied to Abu Zaria and you can't get a past question in Abu Zaria, there's always a way for you to connect and get somebody to get it from you around, let's say, Kaduna State, and send a past question to you in Lagos, because you need that past question. Now, the purpose of this past question is not for you to start cramming the answer, trying to look at, okay, will they repeat this question? No, that's not the purpose. The purpose is for you to actually know the format and also gauge yourself, so that when you are preparing, you know what you are preparing for. Now, I usually like schools that conduct Post UTME exams using the same subject combination, like University of Nigeria. What I mean is that if you start for use of English, mathematics, physics and chemistry, that's the same subject you will take in your Post UTME. This is the best for me because it's just like preparing for your JAMB exam all over again. This time around you can also use the JAMB syllabus. You can also use the past question as guidance. In 2017, I didn't get admission. In 2018, I now applied to University of Nigeria and I got a very good score. I think I got over 250. I got about 260 in my JAMB. Yes, I got 260 for my JAMB, which was good, excellent for the course I wanted to study. Now, if I had applied to medicine and surgery, of course, I wouldn't have gotten admission, because, as you know, I needed about maybe 300, 290 to apply for medicine and surgery. And in my Post UTME, I was able to get a very good score. In fact, my Post UTME score was even lower than my JAMB score, because I didn't really have the time to really put in the effort. And I always say that Post UTME is not a time for magic where you just move from 190 and you get 300 in Post UTME. It doesn't really work like that. That is just the bitter truth, because you getting that score in your JAMB is based on your academic capability. It doesn't mean you are dull. It's just that is your academic academic capability at that point in time, based on how you prepared for the exam. So because there's a way you can also prepare for another JAMB exam and you get a very high score, like those who get above 300 in their JAMB. Another thing is, there are some scores that you get that will require you to apply to a polytechnic. By the time you get, let's say, for example, 140, 130, it doesn't mean you cannot get admission, but for that kind of score, your chances of getting admission into the university is very slim, even for a state university. But then you can easily apply to a polytechnic of your choice. By the time you apply to the Polytechnic, nothing stops you for sitting for the next jam, or you finish your ND program and apply to a university for through direct entry. At the end of the day, you still gain admission for the course you want to study. I know I've said something about changing your course by the time you see that your jam score is low, and some of you are like, what? Law is still my passion to really study electrical engineering. Well, if you get admission for a similar course that is less competitive, it's also possible to, change after your first year. I've made a separate video on how you can do this. You can see the link to the video in the description. Maybe you can watch that to really get an idea of how changing from one course to another really works in university. I really hope that my experience I've shared with you in this video, has given you some insights. So for you to gain admission into the university, you need to make the right choice today. Let me know in the comments your JAMB score, the course you are applying to, the institution of your choice. I'm going to advise you, like my younger one. I'm not going to advise you in a way to make you happy, to encourage you. Oh, you have 210, you can study pharmacy in the University of Lagos. I'm not going to give that kind of advice. I'm going to tell you the bitter truth, and I hope that it's going to help you. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to this channel. If you have any question, you need any further clarification, feel free to let me know in the comments, and I will definitely get back to you as soon as possible.